Hey, it's James. It is Monday afternoon. It's actually almost 6 p.m. So I'm gonna get ready to head out. I had some students, my 8A classes today was the last day to do the requiz. So I had some students come in, but before I allow my students to take the requiz, my policy is that they have to undergo some tutoring first, so that way I know that they know, or at least somewhat understand before they take the requiz. So they wanted to work some problems on the board, so I just threw problems at them and then they took the quiz. Today, I'm trying to see what we did today. I'm trying to remember. My students had to guess how many paper clips were in this jar based on an activity they did for my 8A classes last Wednesday. They came to the back and they measured just various substances. We're doing a new concept called the mole. So to help them understand, I had them create 3 piles of a dozen from each substance, and they weighed those and put that into their data table. And then today, based on the fact that they couldn't count these individually, they had to determine or estimate how many paper clips were in this jar, which was leading into a topic that we're talking about, or at least I talked about today. Not much. It was a blended learning, so they took a warm-up first, or they entered the warm-up actually online, but they wrote on a piece of paper on the warm-up sheet, taped it into their notebook, and then they watched 3 videos on the Canvas site, and I walked around and helped as needed, and that's all they did today. My B-Day classes will do the same thing. Well, actually, they're a class period behind because they didn't do the little investigation piece, so they will do that tomorrow. And then they'll just have to go and watch the rest of the clips if they don't finish tomorrow at home. But after tomorrow, my B-Day classes will officially be caught up. So with that said, I'm going to head out. I actually wanted to talk about some of the things that I'm doing differently this semester compared to the fall semester, but it's almost 6 o'clock and it's late. I'm tired. I want to go home. So I will chat with you all tomorrow. It's Tuesday morning. It's my planning period 5th. And so let me talk about, I actually have a lot of energy because I worked out this morning for the first time since I think the end of November, because I normally work out in the morning during the warmer months, but during winter it's too cold for me to work out in the morning. I'm a wimp. So here in Texas it gets usually warmer in the afternoon, so I will work out in the after work during the winter months, but once spring comes around, then I start working back out at 4 o'clock. Anyway, let me talk about what I wanted to talk about for the past couple of days. What I'm doing this semester compared to what I did in the fall semester. So after reflecting, and I actually knew this over my years as a teacher, that even though my students are in high school, my students in years past are in high school, they might not necessarily have the skills to be organized, to study, to advocate for themselves, and so on and so forth. So I knew I wanted to work with them to help them not just master the standards of my class, but also with skills that would help them in my class, cause me less of a headache throughout the semester, but then also help them in their other classes when they go to college or in work, whatever they decide later on. So what I decided to do this semester was implement a homework system, which isn't just go and do a whole bunch of different problems. It really is to get them to look over their notes, because one of the things that I noticed is students, while we have an interactive notebook and they use it very well in class, when they go home, that was the issue, because there was some students that would actually utilize it, and then some students, once they take their notebook home and they take it home, they would even say like, yeah, it just sits in my room on my desk or on my bed, and they wouldn't open it up. So in an effort to get them to go through their notes, to look, to study, and then also give them some study habits, I created this 1-week homework deadline, which on some of the problems it will say on page, for example, 45, you might use that to help you answer this particular question. And I don't put anything particularly in the homework that they wouldn't be able to do for the most part without any assistance. And if I do put something in there, I usually will also embed a video either of myself or a video that I found on YouTube that's very short, usually perhaps no more than 3 minutes, that can get the point across very quickly. Many of my students are pretty great by, all they need to see is like 1 or 2 examples and there they go. And I know the videos have helped because my students have said, oh yeah, I watched the video, it was underneath problem number 2, and that really helped me with the vocabulary words. I was able to answer the question, but now I know those vocabulary terms and I hear them helping their peers. So that has been very helpful in this semester, at least with my students. One of the other things is my second year, what I did is I would print out this 1-week schedule and I would give it to all my students, and I did it every week, which was a colossal waste of paper, but I would give my students a weekly agenda of what we were doing. By my third year, I moved to a grading period syllabus. This is what we're doing. Everything in bold is what I'm gonna grade. Everything that's not bold or italicized is practice. It would also have like the test dates on there. That was very helpful, and my students still did work in class even though there wasn't an activity that wasn't for a grade, because ultimately they knew that the activity was helping them prepare for the quiz or for the test, because that's what I put into the grade book. So I needed to start, well, I didn't need to. I realized that I didn't do that last semester. I didn't even do that at all when I came back into the classroom last school year, so I wanted to start doing that this semester. So with using Canvas, I'm able to put on, hey, you have these deadlines, or like this is the weekly agenda. I'm not at the point, at least this school year, where I'm gonna have a grading period agenda out. Maybe by the 5th, 6 weeks, I don't know. But right now I've been doing every 2 weeks so they can see ahead, like when the test is going to be, when they have a quiz, when the homework is due. And then with the Remind app, which I had, if they didn't sign up for it in the fall semester, I made all my students sign up for it this semester, so that way I can push out messages to them like, hey, don't forget that you have a quiz coming up in 3 days. So I don't get any of that, oh, we have a quiz today, I didn't even know, and I said it like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. And so students come in, they already come in sometimes and they're already studying before class. Hey, can we study real quick? So that's been helpful. And then also to get students to advocate for themselves if they are struggling in class, or they want, to retake a quiz. If I allow that, which I do allow quiz retakes, I just don't allow test retakes. And I do that because in life, and I know because sometimes I'm on Twitter and I see this argument a lot. There are some people that say that, in life, there are no second chances, but there are. For example, here in Texas as a teacher, anybody who's going for certification, if they fail their certification, their content or their pedagogy test, they get to take it again as many times until they pass it for up to full credit. Now there are other instances in life where people can't do that, and sometimes that leads to a person being fired. So I try to model that as best as I can with the quiz policy. You can retake quizzes for up to as many versions as I have, and then once it gets to the test, I won't allow that, because hopefully you've come in and you are at least proficient on the concepts before you get to the test. And I try to work with students, and that's why I have this open door policy during lunch, and I'm available multiple times throughout the school day if students need help, and they can message me through Remind or through the Canvas email system. So students have been coming in. I actually had more students come in last week compared to all last semester, either for tutoring, to take a re-quiz. For whatever reason, they just were coming in during lunch, after school. I didn't have a lot in the morning because I was not coming as early in the morning last week. But they were coming during lunch and after school. And now what I'm doing is also I'm tracking. So I didn't have a sign-in policy or even a note sheet that they would sign in. So they come in, I just created a Google form and they sign in through that. So anytime they get help, for whatever reason, it's just they need to come speak to me really quick, they type that in like, hey, I came to talk to you really quickly. So I can just log at any point. If I ever have to have a parent conference or students need hours, I can always pull up that sheet and I can search for that student's name and it will have the history of that student in the Google Form spreadsheet. So I know it's only been 4 weeks, but it seems to be working, and I said that a lot in my last vlog. And so only time will tell as the semester progresses, but students seem to be taking a better initiative in regard to their grades. I also have them keep up with their grades. So I have a sheet that has like the week, the assignment name, the grade that they made, and if there's a retry available. And so yeah, like I'm trying to think if I'm leaving anything out. So it really is just get them to advocate, to be a little bit more responsible, making sure that they recognize deadlines, and if they have an issue with meeting a deadline, that they come speak to me right away. Again, just like in life, if I know I have a deadline coming up and I know that I perhaps can't meet it or I'm struggling to meet it, then I'm gonna go talk to my boss, in this case my principal, like, hey, or if I'm part of a team, to let them know that I'm struggling, can I get some help? And I want my students to do that versus showing up to class and like, oh, you know, I didn't know. Yeah, I just decided not to do my homework. I decided not to do X, Y, Z. So I've received positive feedback from the students in regard to the homework and how I've set it up. Again, I'm building it as I'm going along because I haven't taught chemistry in 7 years. So I'm already, as nerdy as this might sound, I'm already excited about next year, because I know next year, based on me working on everything this year, will be a lot easier next school year, because everything will be pretty much made. I just will need to go back and maybe tweak some things, but as far as like having to build the course like I'm doing this year, I won't have to do much of that next school year. So with that said, I'm going to end here because I think I have about 30 more minutes left of my planning period, and I need to go make copies of the exam 1 review for my dual credit class because they have their first test next week. So with that said, I will talk to you all later. It is Wednesday, it's my planning period. My 8A classes today, they just did a total of 6 practice problems over the mole concept. It's just a topic that traditionally students struggle in or struggle with. I know it was a topic that I struggled with when I first learned about it. So I just went over 6 problems. They're on the screen right now because I'm gonna get ready after this. I don't know if you can see up there on the screen. You zoom back out because I zoomed in. No, let me not zoom in. We did 6 problems where I did a couple. I did like 1 or 2, and then they did the next 2. We did it together as a class, and then the last 2 I told them, okay, I want you all to ask each other, and I just walked around and I helped. My BDA class is finally caught up. I think they're just 1 video shy of being caught up, but I told them, please go watch the video at home. It's a very short video. But other than that, I got them caught up yesterday because they did a lab that my 8A classes did last Wednesday. As far as today, the 6 problems, my first period, we got through the first 5. We ran out of time for the 6th one, so I just told them, hey, please take it home, see if you can try to do it. And then my second period class, we got through all the problems. So I'll see how my 4th period does today. However, I am going to stop this because I'm going to shoot just some practice videos so I can put on Canvas site, so if students want to study and they just want some extra help or practice, they can watch the videos at home over the weekend. So with that said, I will talk to you all later. So there's my new standards poster. I made that during my planning period. Today was a late start, so teachers had to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning. Students didn't start school until 10:15. And so today was just a repeat of what my students did yesterday. So we just worked problems, at least my 6th and 7th period, because those are my pre-AP classes, and then my dual credit class, they are getting ready to take their test next week. So they actually just had 1 module left to watch today, and then they had a couple assignments that I gave to them, such as to help them study, but such as an acrostic. They did a warm-up where they were balancing nuclear equations. They also created some flashcards, and there was another thing that I'm kind of forgetting right now. But with that said, I'm gonna go home because there wasn't much that I did today. Oh, we had a tech meeting, so I'm part of the tech committee. So during lunch, I had to eat my lunch really quickly, then run into the main building all the way upstairs on the opposite side of the campus. And we just really talked about what are things that are going on really well with the different technology initiatives that we have going on. So like the Canvas, which we call Blend here in my district, the Chromebooks, which the students got 4 weeks ago, and Go Guardian, which is a software program which allows teachers to monitor what students are doing on their Chromebooks during the school day. And that was pretty much it. And then also talking about, because we have an in-service day coming up, what we're going to perhaps do in the afternoon, and that still has to get approved by administration. But if that does get approved, then what that process will look like in terms of the tech committee providing professional development to teachers at our campus. But that's right now, we're still in the planning stages with that. But with that said, I'm going to head to the gym because there's not much that went on today. I didn't even film anything going on in my class. I'm gonna go home after the gym, so I will talk to you all tomorrow. TGIF, it is Friday. So my students, let me show you what our agenda is for today. The warm-up is basically just 3 questions from the previous class period, seeing if they understand the lab activity we're doing today. So how many moles are in my signature, inquiry lab, extension questions, and then just reminders for the homework number 3 and the test next week. So this is the chalk that they will be using to write their signature outside. And I would show that, but many of the students wrote their first and last name out there. So just because of confidentiality, I don't want to show that. So basically what they did, let me set this up. Basically what they did is they had to write normally in the labs that we've done this school year, most of it was like cookbook. And in the past, before I left teaching the first time, I was really great about doing labs where I didn't give them the instructions, the procedures. They had to work together to figure that out, or write a procedure themselves, and then do a lab. And I just haven't done that this school year. So what they did is all I told them was that I was gonna give them a piece of chalk, and they would need to determine how many moles were in their signature once they went outside and wrote their name on the sidewalk. So before I gave them a piece of chalk, they had to write a procedure. I would have to check it, stamp off, give the okay, then they can proceed with the lab. So basically what they would do is they would weigh the chalk, write down the mass, go outside, write their name down, come back in, reweigh the chalk, subtract the 2 masses. That would be the mass of the chalk that they used to write their signature. They would take that that measurement, and they would convert it using dimensional analysis to moles. Pretty simple, but I hadn't done something, like I said earlier, something where it was like, I'm not giving you any procedures, you figure it out. And so I'm excited because I plan to do more of that this semester, and it's just something that I haven't done as much this year compared to when I was in teaching, before I left teaching several years ago. That's all we did my first period. It was funny because after I gave the instructions, they just kind of like looked at me and looked at one another, and then they all came back here and were working and discussing in large groups. In my second period, they did it more quickly than my first period class. The only issue is that they got stumped on the extension questions, which is fine because those types of questions are the type of questions that are going to be on their exam next week, and I wanted to make sure that they understood how to do them. So that's why I put the questions after they had finished the activity. It's my planning period right now, so 4th period we'll do it. I don't even know what time, my phone's over there. I think I have maybe 20, 30 more minutes left. So I'm gonna wrap up here, and other than that, I'm not gonna vlog after school today. I do have some students coming after school, but I'm also not gonna stay that long because it is Friday and I wanna make sure I go home and get some rest. So I will chat with you all next week. I have to sneeze right now. I will chat with you all next week. Bye. Well, that's it. If there's anything about this video that you like, then make sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and or share the video. If you haven't already done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that way you can bond with James. And if you're interested in checking out some of my other clips, you can do so by clicking on any of the links right here. As always, thanks for watching.